Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe where we help and heal one day at a time. I had mentioned that I'd like to do the 9 different traits of a narcissist so we can kind of understand if the person we're dealing with is a narcissist. Now, experts will require that we have 5 of these 9 things. So the first one is this grand sense of pride, self-importance, to where they feel that they need to be the center of attention, their opinion matters the most, where it's all around this pride that they have. And is it really a justified pride? Kind of like that grandiose type thing going on, where their opinion, everything about them is what is important, and getting a hold of unlimited success, power, whether it's good looks, the perfect love, to the level of obsession is another one. So if they can become obsessed with obtaining the perfect person, they're gonna, love bomb to extremes as soon as they see like a target. Also, unlimited success. Maybe they're a good singer, but they have this false image that they're going to be the next superstar. And maybe they can, if they have a legitimate good voice, but to where they're kind of delusional on the success that is likely to happen. The power, to where they feel in charge of everything, where they need to maintain that. They feel they're entitled to that power over people. So the third one, just a false belief of being special and unique. So I'm 6'1". I'm taller than most people. I kind of don't like being tall, but 6'1". I have a realistic belief that that's what makes me unique. So that's realistic. But if I was 5'6" and saying, what makes me really unique is how tall I am. Where they have this false belief of what it is that makes them special, what it is that makes them unique. Just like I was saying, like the singer. Are they really that good of a singer? Are they really that good of a cook? Are they really that good? There's nothing wrong with the way they cook or sing, but it's a false belief. And there's the things that make them special and unique. They also have a sense of entitlement, whether it's time, attention, their opinion. They're entitled to interject things when it's inappropriate. They're entitled to talk down to other people. They're entitled to monopolize things. And that's one of the other traits. The next one is a need for excessive admiration and acknowledgement to the extreme, to where you don't just say, wow, that was a good job. You have to like go into it, and they'll sometimes try to pull it out of us. Like, oh, you thought it was a good job. What did you like about it? And so you tell them, and then it's just like, to the excess where it's like, we've been talking about how good your job was for the last 3 hours. Excessive admiration, to where you got to stroke their ego. They can't do something nice for you and have you say, thanks, that was so sweet of you. They need it to be in the excess of being admired. Also, just out in public or at work, the focus needs to go on them. They need to be so special and admired, not just appreciated, but really admired. And then they have an exploitative attitude towards interpersonal relationships. So they'll exploit us. They do the love bombing. They lie just to get what they want, but between people. Interpersonal is like a true relationship, whether it's a friend or a lover. So they'll try to exploit for their needs to get met. And they're very conniving, and lack of empathy is a main one. And I did something on their brain damage, how their cerebral cortex is thinner. So they can't achieve empathy no matter how hard they try. That part of their brain is dead. There are varying levels of the deadness, so some empathy may seep out, but usually they don't pick up on clues. They don't want to deal with other people's emotions. They don't want to look into themselves. They don't like look at what they're kind of doing to us, like if they cut us down or something. or didn't appreciate us. They don't look like, how did I hurt that person? Why is this hurting that person, so they can change? Being envious of others, believing others are jealous of them, to where that's that grandiose again, where, you know, I can think everybody in the world is jealous that I'm so tall just because 3 people complimented me. Doesn't mean everybody is. So they had this false sense of believing or needing everybody to be jealous, and they'll be envious of other people because they feel entitled to be maybe the top or the most popular or the most adored, and so those are kind of unhealthy feelings. They're also very arrogant, proud, and they kind of have snooty behaviors towards others. The way they talk to people sometimes, whether it's behind their back, they're arrogant because, you know, without that empathy, they're focused on themselves, and they just have this arrogance about them. And we kind of sometimes mix that up with being confident, because there's a difference between arrogant and being confident. So they can come across as confident, but they take it to the arrogant level. So if your person has any of these 5 traits, they would qualify as narcissistic. To have the disorder, it has to affect your life. So if they're skating by in life where it's not affecting their marriage or their friendships, then they don't get diagnosed. Even, it's kind of crazy. Like if you have chickenpox, you have chickenpox, whether you go to the doctor or not, or whether you there do you know what I'm trying to say? They have the disorder, but they can't get diagnosed unless it affects their life. So there are more men that have it, as opposed to women. This study says 7.7% of men and 4.7% of women suffer from NPD. Now, those are the people that have gone through the evaluation, but narcissists are tricky. Narcissists can go to therapy to kind of gain information on how can I manipulate this person more. So then if it's like, oh, they have empathy, or, you know, my special person has empathy, I need to use that against them. I need to pretend that I'm caring so I can get them to do this. So some of them go to therapy for the wrong reasons. Other of them are in denial. And so they're gonna schmooze the therapist. And they're such good manipulators that a lot of therapists don't pick up on it. They'll believe the narcissist that maybe it is the other person. And so there's a lot more than roughly 8 to 5% of women, because they're just not diagnosed, or they mislead the therapist, or they just don't go to therapy. So if you think these are the people that have gone into the doctors, just like this COVID stuff we're going through, you know, those are the people who took tests that we know how many people have had it. But it could, I don't know, especially with the asymptomatic stuff, I don't know, maybe 80% have already had COVID. We don't know because not everybody's taken the test. Same with the narcissist. Not everybody's taken the test. So be careful of what's out there, because it is snowballing out of control. More and more narcissists are being created. And are they born or created? They're kind of created. There's different stages in life that we go through. You know, there's people with oral fixations. A lot of them say whether they were bottle or breastfed, that can kind of lead to problems later on in life. I mean, this is when you were a baby, and it's affecting if you can easily break a smoking habit or not. And that's from your childhood, because there's developmental things in our brain that happen at certain times. And during the stage of them acquiring empathy, something happened to them. And it's just something that's ingrained in them. Like I said, even with that brain damage, when they're at rest, the brain overacts. And that's when they lash out a lot, or they get bored, or that's when they have that need to settle that brain activity down. So they're going to go out, and whether it's cheating or lying or just feeding that fuel somehow, causing problems just so the situation gets turned to focus on them. So they'll often take advantage of other people. They don't understand other people's needs or how other people feel. It's like we're on two different planets. And they just cannot process what we're going through. So if they can't process it, it doesn't exist in their minds. So they'll often avoid it. They're often very charming. They'll be polite, but they will become arrogant quickly. So they create this facade, and as long as this facade is working for them, they'll go with it. But as soon as it falls apart, they have fragile egos, and they need to regain that status, that arrogance. The arrogance leads to the false confidence that they have. They'll be take offense when we ever question them. Sometimes it's just a kind question. Like I brought up once, like, did you pick up the nachos? And then they get offended that we think that they don't know what they're doing. They don't like being criticized or challenged. So even if you say, why are you talking to me like that? It'll turn around onto us into a fight, as opposed to, well, you're right. You didn't deserve it. I had a bad day. They don't take a step back. That whole stop and think that we try to teach our kids, because, once you say something, you can't always take it back. You can say sorry, but the damage is done. They expect special favors. They just want unquestioned support, to where whatever they decide they want to do, don't offer them advice. They think that they know everything. They expect us to comply to whatever their demands are. They get disappointed. They'll be angry when they don't get the expected response. So if they're doing something, they're doing it because of the response that they want, not necessarily to care about us. It's to care about themselves. So they feel, I'm giving you something, but I want my payback. So they're not giving. That's where the unconditional love is. Let's say you guys didn't have food. I could drop food off at your house, and I don't need to even leave a note. I don't need the thank you. I just needed to make sure my friend, you, would have food. But they'll do it for a reason. If they're not going to get that, oh my gosh, whether it's talking to your friends, like, that was so amazing. Cynthia just did this, and I'm doing it because you're talking about me. Their intent is different than our intent. They'll often undermine, they'll devalue other people's achievements, because they want to be seen as the best. It's kind of like that jealousy thing, where they're envious, and so they'll devalue it. So it kind of brings them onto the same level. Like if it's not that big of a deal what this person achieved, then they're no better than I am. They like to think that they're unique, distinguishable, and they are unwilling to change. They often have a feeling of shame and humiliation when they get upset. Like they know what they're doing, even if it's not conscious. They subconsciously know, because their body feels different. Just like if you lie for a reason usually, because there's shame in it. If somebody asks you, did you steal my purse from my house? And you're like, no, it's just because you feel shame. And they feel shame all the time, but they also lie all the time for no reason. But I had mentioned in other videos, it's because the amygdala in their brain gets some chemicals going on where it actually soothes them to lie. So they'll lie about dumb things, which doesn't make sense. And in this one, sometimes they're socially withdrawn. Depends if they're a vulnerable or grandiose narcissist. The vulnerable ones are the ones that would more likely be socially withdrawn. The grandiose ones fuels off the adoration of others. The vulnerable ones want you to feel sorry for them. They often have depression. A lot of times that's why they struggle with drugs or alcohol. I made some videos on that. Just what it does to their brain is a little bit different, whether it's drinking or drugs. And they often have a difficult time maintaining relationships. And I think you being here on the channel, I think you can relate to that. And the closer they are to people, the more you got to be real with people. The person at the grocery store who's checking you out, you don't really need to be real with them. You don't need to open up to them. You don't need to tell them the truth. You know, it's not that we should lie, but you know, does it really matter if they say, you know, how's your day going? And you say, you know, good, and you're having a bad day. Like, also though, some people with NPD will have eating disorders just because they don't know how to calm themselves. They don't know where this pain is coming from sometimes, but they know that they have this pain. And they do try to control everything. Whether they also like challenges. So maybe the challenge is, can I go however many days without eating? Or they like to control that they overate, just to control whatever, or to kind of feel unique, that they can do something naughty that other people shouldn't do. And a lot of people struggle with eating disorders. So there is help on that. There are cures for that kind of stuff. It struggles though. So reach out if you need help. So the real causes of NPD are kind of unclear at this time to psychologists and psychiatrists. So symptoms can overlap, and there's behavioral ailments. There's a lot of different factors that are proposed for this NPD development. A lot of researchers kind of think it might even be genetic, environmental. So there's luckily still doing some more research on things, because it is starting to get out of control. So there are some complications that are associated with narcissism. Like I said, there's often substance abuse, anxiety. So if you see some of these things, take note. The person this might be like your red flags to see further if they have those 5 traits out of the 9. Some of them might have all 9. You know, just depends on how thin that cerebral cortex area got. That's the part responsible for empathy. They can often have panic attacks, depression, eating disorders, and it's kind of sad. Sometimes they will have suicidal inclinations. They just want to escape the pain. You know, if they can get the fuel supply, you know, they can make it through life. Sometimes they don't, they burn so many bridges. And depending on how small their circle is, like now nobody at work likes them, but if they work with 1,000 people, they'll just move on to the next. They'll have relationship difficulties, differences at the workplace. They'll try to manipulate situations to where they are the one that's noticed. They will take some credit for things that they didn't necessarily do. And just talking to them can get overwhelming because of all the gaslighting and everything. So some of the factors that they think contributes to the development of narcissism is when the child is overpraised when they're young. That's the grandiose that we're creating by telling them just how special they are, how unique they are. Over pampering, giving them too much attention to where now they're accustomed to being coddled to. And later on in life, we try to, we have this reality when we're kids, and that's our view of the world. So if they're over pampered, the view of the world is in their head. So when they're older, they expect, where's this, I'm not being overpraised, I'm not being over adored or pampered. And sometimes too, if we have a lot of high expectations for the child, they can become vulnerable because they feel they can't achieve, or they can be grandiose, where they feel that they need to have these achievements in life. So they'll lie about the achievements that they have. Irregular care or neglect of the child, it, it leads to, just like with us, with our, the brain damage they've caused in us is because of the intermittent reinforcement. So if it's irregular care, like sometimes they're totally taken care of, they get a bath every other day. And then all of a sudden, for 2 months, they're not bathed. Now, all of a sudden you tell them you expect them to bathe every other day. And then, it's just, they're so confused. They're like, what are we supposed to do? What is normal? Any kind of trauma. Sometimes it could just, a car accident. Now the little kid's in the hospital. So they're not getting that pampering from a maternal or paternal source. It's just the nurse, caring for them, being kind to them, but the connection is not as deep. So any abuse, whether it's verbal or physical, can lead to creating a narcissist. Rejection or dismissal while growing up. A lot of times kids get bullied in school. It changes who they are, how they have to cope with things. Now maybe they have to either run and hide, or they got to be a jerk and stand up for themselves and start acting out or being threatening. And that's how they learn to cope with the situation. And it's ingrained in them then that this is how the world sees them. Any stress and anxiety. So sometimes, with custody battles these kids go through, it can cause some stress. They can be anxious, like, is mom or dad ever going to see me again? That they fear abandonment. And so that's why they'll latch on to the new supply. Sometimes putting all others aside to just hold on to, I don't want to be abandoned. Plus, if you think about it, if you shut everybody else out, you have less people who are going to abandon you. So sometimes they need all these people just to make sure there's one person in the pool that won't abandon them, or they latch on to one. So there are different types of narcissists. That's why it's so confusing on how to exactly figure this out. But I just thought those are some important things to know. And there are a lot of things that they end up doing to us. It does cause brain damage. Please look at that video. It changes how we view ourselves, how we view our world, our reality, and if we're constantly being told just piece by piece that we're not worth it. It's just like right now, if you guys wanted to, each one of you take out a piece of my hair. I'm not really noticing it. But over time, it's just like they're picking at us. I'm going to start to see some bald spots. And then you keep picking and picking and picking. And that's kind of what the narcissist does. At first, you're not noticing what they're doing. We have enough of ourselves to not notice exactly what they're taking from us. But after a while, just like if I was starting to notice some bald spots, we're starting to notice some red flags. And if you keep continuing on, if I let you guys do that, even if it took 2 years, eventually I'd be bald. And that's what they're kind of doing to our soul, is they're stripping it bare. So please like and subscribe. Hope this helped. And if you guys have anything you'd like to talk about, please let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Just keep taking care of yourself. Focus on you. Go do something fun and tell me about it. Have a good day.